So we're just gonna look at the data part here, like we did with the ordinary level. The new stuff for higher level is just some terms, really. It's pretty much the same thing. So we want to remember the importance of using randomization. I like to think of, if you have a pack of cards, when you get them new and they're in order, so you have all the diamonds together, the clubs together, the hearts together, and so on. Now if you were to pick 10 cards from that new pack and you just got 1 of diamonds, 2 of diamonds, 3 of diamonds, all the way up to 10 of diamonds, that wouldn't be a very good representation of a deck of cards, because if you only had those 10 cards, if that was your sample from your population of 52 cards, you'd think that there were only diamonds, when in fact there were hearts, clubs and spades, and you'd think there's only 1 to 10. You wouldn't even see a jack, king or queen. So on the other hand, randomization is, when you shuffle the pack of cards, and now if you just pick the first 10 cards from that, well, now you're going to get, most likely, both a king. You'll get all the 4 suites. You'll probably get at least 2 of each of them, so you'll kind of know, okay, they're 4 suites and they're roughly evenly divided. You'll be aware that suddenly, there are these king and queen and picture cards as well as numbers. So that's the advantage of randomization, that if you are only going to have a limited sample, if you're not going to get to see the entire population, a random sample is basically the best way to represent the whole. Which brings you on to, as long as it's not biased. So if you just pick cards of like we did in the non-random one, but if you pick cards which were only numbers, then that wouldn't give you a fair representation. So you do want it random, and then your secondary thing is you also want somehow to get an unbiased sample. The other thing we want to mention is the idea of a control group. Now, when I think of control group, the immediate example that springs to mind is if you're thinking about a new medicine. So say you spent your fortune coming up with a new drug, which you're hoping will cure some important disease. What you need to do is basically pick 2 samples at least. Now give 1 sample your medicine, and you hope it should heal them. At the same time, give a control group, and now they won't know that they're the control group, because otherwise that will bias the, if I tell you, oh, here, take this, it's not actually medicine, but I just want to see what happens. Well, then you're not going to think, oh, this is going to heal me. Oh, I feel better. I feel so much better after having taken this thing which you've told me is not medicine. So both groups need to think that they are having medicine. And in this example, you'd call it the group, the medicine, the thing that you give someone which isn't actually medicine, a placebo. Now what you do is you see what happens. You see, okay, after a couple of weeks, does the medicine work? Did the group who were given the actual medicine get better? And now you have to. That's why you need the control group, because the control group gives you something to compare with. So actually, what you find is a lot of people get better just because they think what they had was medicine. The psychological factor is actually pretty significant. So you'll see some people in the control group will be going, oh, this is great, I've been waiting for this, this is fantastic, even though they didn't actually have any medicine. So what you want to do is see that the group that took the medicine or your new medicine did better than the group that didn't. And that's what your control group's there for, something that you can compare with. Another new thing or different thing for the higher level is the concept of ethical ethics and how that applies to statistics. So actually I was thinking, what's that mean? Because I've only read maths books, so I know the proofs and I know I know the results, but I hadn't really done stuff on the ethics. So then I ended up going to the amstat.org, so www.amstat.org, about ethical guidelines.cfm, as you can see here. And that's basically what I just wanted to touch on. The main ideas here are, well, I mean, I don't want to, and I don't even know in huge depth or in as much depth as is on this website. I mean, the basic idea. So when you're doing your statistics, you want to keep confidentiality or respect privacy. So, if I'm doing my report and I'm doing my whatever it is that I'm studying, I don't want to, or you shouldn't, give out the names of the people, where they are, what they were doing, invade the your samples privacy. Keep the things anonymized and do whatever, look at whatever it is that you were looking at, but don't respect privacy. Secondly, when you write your report, make it clear what the limitations of your results are. So, that this, when I did my surveys, when I did my samples, I considered this group, like it only applies to, whatever it is that you were looking at. So don't, so that it's not misinterpreted. So you go like, oh, this wouldn't apply in so-and-so. And finally, that if you're a funder, if you're an organization if I paid to do a study showing, how great project maths is, for example, then I can't, or I shouldn't put pressure on the people who are doing the survey to get a particular result. So that I shouldn't be kind of only hiring and making it clear that I want you to give me an A plus, give me a fantastic report, so that you kind of focus more on results that are positive. That when I did my survey, I only questioned the people who are saying very good things, and I don't ask people who are unhappy or are criticizing things. So I didn't. The ethical perspective would be to not be selective of the people who I sampled. So that's some of the issues as far as ethics is concerned. As you can see, if you want to go further into it, there's the amstat.org, and I'm sure there's even more, but that's enough for what I wanted to do. So then, finally, actually all you need to know for this bit is some definitions. And in fact, I'd say you want to get the definitions from whatever book you're using, so that there's no kind of mix up. If I give a definition and then you have a definition in your books, and then that's just confusing. But the idea is the same. So it's about when you're doing surveys. So this is about or samples. I'll say survey. There's 3 different types, and there are various trade-offs. So the first one is known as a stratified sample. So maybe I should just say samples instead of surveys. So there, what you do is you look at your population. So say I'm looking at a class, and the class has 30 people. So I go class 30 students. Now there are actually 15 boys and 15 girls. In that class. So a stratified sample, I'd go, okay, now I know that it's half and half. So if I want a sample of, say, 6 people from the class, a stratified sample would say, okay, that means take 3 boys and 3 girls. So if want 6 people, and if you're talking about a class, not just one class, but maybe there are 5 classes within a year, so there's 150 students. But if it's basically half and half, then if you want a sample of 6, then you stratify that sample, and you go, I want 3 boys and 3 girls. So then you randomly pick 3 boys from those 15, and you randomly pick 3 girls from those 15, and then that's how a stratified sample would work. Another type of sample is using clusters. So there, what you do, and in some ways it's similar to stratified, is, well, we had five forms within a given year. So within a year. So say there were 150 students, 5 classes of 30, or 5 forms of 30. Now, if you're doing a stratified sample, so say go 5 forms within a year of size 30. Now, if I was doing stratified and I wanted a sample of 15, then I would make sure that I picked 3 from each form class. But in a cluster, what I do is I randomly pick one form. So here, randomly pick one form. So pick a number from 1 to 5, and then I pick all my students, whatever survey or questionnaire I wanted to do. I pick all of them from one of these forms, so whichever one I randomly picked. So that's a cluster sample. And finally, there is the quota, which is probably the most commonly used. So here what you do is you begin by setting out how many you want. So that would be, say if I was doing a quota based sample or survey, I would go, I want 5 boys and 5 girls. So then I just pick the first 5 boys that I can survey, and the first 5 girls. So what this means is you can do it very quickly. So a quota is it's fast and efficient, cheap, and all those kind of things. It can tend to be more biased. So can be biased because you might end up asking the people who are friendliest, who are more approachable, that you can kind of go up, you feel more comfortable going up to that person to ask them, as opposed to there might be some people who you don't get on that well with. So that's not that should be the basis of who you ask. Even when people are doing marketing on their streets, that'll be in effect. That'll be something that people are aware of, that the person, when they go out, they will more likely, they will approach more people who are approachable, who are happy to fill out who are happy to have a chat with the questionnaire, or and so and so. Also, here I began by just saying my quota will be 5 boys and 5 girls, but I might not know what the appropriate ratio is. If I'm just questioning people on the road, It's not as if I have a class, where I can go, okay, in my classroom there are 30 people, and I know that there are 15 boys and 15 girls. So then I know when I'm doing stratified, what the proportions are, what would be fair. If I'm assuming that the relevant thing for my quota is there should be the same number of boys and girls, which perhaps isn't the fair one for whatever you're doing in particular. So that's pretty much all that is done in the higher level parts of the data. As I said, and I mean, actually, yeah, in particular, all you need to know on the stratified cluster and quota is just some definition, so that you can. That's pretty much all they can ask you, and it's best that you use the definition that's in the book that you're using, because otherwise there'll be very little confusions or between different books and different people, and that's best avoided. So if you just use the one in your book, then you know what to say. But we just wanted to touch on and cover basically what the differences were.